Benjamin asked me recently via LinkedIn, if you were a founder and had something that had taken off, perhaps it's blown up on Product Hunt or Reddit, how do you keep that momentum and how do you optimize? Basically, what do they need to do, or what should I do? So the first thing is, you've managed to do one of the hardest things, and that is to find a product that people actually want. I really can't stress this enough, and it's something that's glossed over when it comes to conversion rate optimization. You quite often notice that if you look at conversion rate optimization websites, they'll quite often say that we aren't there in order to validate a product. We're there in order to optimize something with an existing product that is already taken off so that you can reach the next level. And the reason is that you can have the greatest landing page in the world. You can optimize absolutely every little nook and cranny, every element on the page, and it doesn't mean squat. And the reason it means absolutely nothing is that unless you have a product that people want, then forget it. You might get a sale here or there, but really you're not going to get any sales, and that's a major problem for most brands, particularly new businesses. They think they've got something that's amazing that absolutely everybody wants, and in reality nobody really cares about it and nobody wants it. Secondly, collect data. That's really important. Make sure that you're collecting events, make sure that you're setting up goals correctly, and make sure that you're tracking things like, well, what buttons are people clicking on? You can also use things like Heatmaps, which are somewhat useful. They're not amazing. And the reason that they're not truly amazing is that it doesn't incorporate eye tracking. So it's very difficult to know what people are actually looking at. You can only really track, okay, well, what are people clicking on? How far down the page are they going? And also what are they kind of hovering their mouse over? So it's somewhat useful. Visitor recordings can be very useful. You can quite often pick up on problems. Let me give you an example, a really recent example. I had an opportunity to potentially work with a very well-known client within the design space. I can't really say who. And they sell a number of products, and it's products that they make themselves. So it's things like guides on how to do branding, guides on how to run an efficient business. They have workshops. They also have membership plans, etc., where they have like you can have like one-to-one calls with people that are very high up in our industry, and they were getting, I mean, for one video that they had, it was a short on YouTube, had 16 million views. And they were getting well over 20 million views on YouTube every month, but they were getting next to no traffic from it, which is crazy. But they had a demand for the products and people were buying their products. That was one of the major problems that they were wanting to try and solve, but they were also really looking for more traffic. And I was arguing, no, you don't need more traffic. What you need to do is you need to take that 20 million views and then get as many people as possible from your content over to your website. That makes perfect sense to me, because Google's highly competitive and the chances of you getting your content ranked high up is slim to none. But in YouTube, you're smashing it. You're also smashing it on social media, and that was actually where most of the traffic was coming from, because they had a call to action and their videos didn't have a call to action. I analysed their website and I found that it was exceptionally slow to load, unbearably slow to load. The other issue they had was they had an SSL certificate set up incorrectly. So that's when you get the little padlock and basically tells people this is a secure site, and also tells your web browser it's a secure site. So you get HTTPS. The problem was that because it was set up incorrectly, there was a number of web browsers which were actually blocking the website from showing because they didn't trust the certificate. They also had their design company, which is again very well known, and their site was down for days because their SSL certificate expired, and it was actually me that raised the alarm. They had absolutely no idea this was the case, and it took them a couple of days in order to rectify it, which to be honest is something that should take 5 minutes. Now with the page speed, you can fix it in 5 minutes, and you can fix the certificate in 5 minutes. Now, how this ties to visitor recordings are that if they were to watch visitor recordings, they would have seen actually there was an issue with their SSL certificate. They would have also found that the website was exceptionally slow to load, and as a result, people were abandoning their website. Now, you might be saying, well, who cares about website speed? Website speed is critical. Not everyone has ultra-fast internet, including on mobile devices. And also the further the person is away from where the server is for your website, the slower your website gets, unless you set it up correctly. And I would say that speed is one of the biggest things that's going to have an impact on your conversion rate, because people just do not have the time. In fact, a recent study found that people have the attention span of a goldfish. If you can believe it. Actually, I think the goldfish won. I think the goldfish actually had a better attention span than the average human, which is just frightening. But when you put that into terms of web design and conversion rate optimization, what that means is that you have literally seconds in order for your website to load and for you to convey your message and why the person needs it, and also how they can act. So collect data. It's really, really important you know how people are interacting your website. And the data will also tell you, okay, well, how fast and how slow is my website? As well as, what devices people are using when they browse the website, what they click on, what they look at, how far down the page they go, etc. And all this information can help guide you towards optimizing your website and creating sales funnels. Now, in terms of the optimization of the website itself, also look at traffic. Traffic is something that, again, that is glossed over, but you'll find that when you look in Google Analytics, or it might be Mixpanel, whatever your analytics might be, Yandex, you'll find that there'll be certain sources of traffic that perform really, really well. So you might find that, for instance, social media on Facebook is absolutely smashing it. You're getting a ton of conversions. You might find that organic search is absolutely nailing it as well, but referrals are lacking, or etc. Every website's different. Every business is different. And something to also take into consideration is also what's called an assisted conversion. So you'll find that within your data that perhaps the person arrives first from social media, and then they use a branded search term in Google, and that's when you get the conversion. Now, what will be typically recorded as getting the conversion will be Google search, but you might actually find that that's not actually the first touch point. It might be one of many. And obviously, the more expensive your product is, or the more expensive your service is, there'll probably be more touch points along the way. Now, if you've got the right amount of data, if you have a high performing website so it's very quick to load, and you're really focusing and knuckling down on the sources of traffic that are converting the best, what's next? Next thing is start running A/B tests and use your data to help guide you. Now, there's general best practices that I would say that probably should be in place first. So things like I would say really trust is the most important thing. If people need to trust you, they need to trust your brand, they need to trust your product, they need to trust your website. So how do you tackle trust? Well, there's things like you might have review widgets, you might have testimonials, customer reviews, that sort of thing, where you've been featured, etc. And try and incorporate as much of that information as you can above the fold. Now, above the fold is the area that people see when they first land on a website. And you'll notice a pattern here with what I've been previously saying, about to say. This is by far the most important part of the page. And as I mentioned earlier, you've got seconds in order to tell people, okay, what is it, why they need it, and how they act. Additionally, why they need to trust you. If you can do that, then you will see an increase in conversions, undoubtedly. And page speed, believe it or not, is also a part of trust. I forget the data off the top of my head, but it was quite dramatic in research that was conducted. And if people would come back to a website, if they would buy from a brand, and do they trust the brand based on the performance of the website. And they found that even small incremental changes in how fast the page loaded had a massive effect on the number of people that were converting. So again, it's about trust. Page speed is also about trust. You need to trust your brand, and you know that what you're talking about, and what you, and you're so do that and you'll succeed. Other best practices are your call to action. So is your call to action very clear on the page? So is the text nice, bold, legible, so that I can easily tell quickly at a glance precisely what it is that you're offering and why I need it? And also, is there a button there, a high contrast button that doesn't match in with the other branding colours? And that's quite key, because you quite often find that, let's say for instance your theme or your branding is white and blue. Well, you quite often find white and blue throughout the entire page. Problem with that is that when there's a lot of white and blue, or whatever your branding colours might be, your call to action button doesn't really stand out on the page. It just kind of merges in with the rest of the blue. However, if it's a different colour, then it will just jump out at people. And I would run a number of A/B tests, try different text, try different value propositions, and see what converts the best. Another thing that you can do if you're needing help with copy is to use ChatGPT. Everyone's talking about it. Let's say you sell red dresses. So analyze all the Amazon reviews for red dresses and look for the most common likes and the most common dislikes. And what this will do is this will give you a list of all the things that people love about red dresses, and also it will give you all the things that they hate about red dresses. And there are objections that you can tackle in your landing page, and there are also things that you can use as value propositions within your landing pages. So if the number one thing is it makes me feel confident going out at night, then that's what your main value proposition will be on your landing page. And you might be thinking, well, how does this apply to SaaS? Well, you can analyze industry books, as well as various other products and things that people use that are within your target audience. You can also ask it to analyze the most common words that are used, and most common phrases. And again, you can incorporate that within your copy. And this is called the mirroring technique, and a lot of people use this in business and day to day. Like for instance, if they're in a sales meeting with someone, they might start mimicking their body language, or there might be certain phrases that people use. So for example, maybe the potential client says super all the time, like that's super cool or super good, and by mimicking them, the other person feels as if they have a stronger connection to you, they like you, and as a result are more susceptible to actually making a purchase. And the same principles apply to websites and to copywriting. If you use the same language and the same terminology as your target audience, then you're automatically going to boost your conversion rates. So again, test this. There's lots of different software out there that you can use, very low cost, that will allow you and able to do variant tests. And a variant test is when you have one version of your website and another version of your website, and you show it to perhaps 50-50, split your traffic, and you see which one converts the best. And so best of luck with your optimization. Now,